Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Bridge City News. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was in Winnipeg, slamming Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today, and explained why he thinks Canada is still broken. Wildfires in the northern part of Alberta continue to grow in size. We have an update from Alberta Wildfire. And the Helen Schuler Nature Centre in Lethbridge received a large $35,000 donation. We'll explain what the money will be going towards.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Hal Roberts.
Thanks so much for joining us. The hamlet of Fort Chipewyan, located around 300 kilometers north of Fort McMurray, remains under an evacuation order due to a wildfire. There are 6 evacuation orders in place in Alberta. Just over 4,300 Albertans remain displaced because of the blazes. Emergency officials say the fire danger continues to be quite high or extreme in the northern parts of the province. There are currently 60 wildfires burning in Alberta, with 17 classified as out of control. 17 are also now being held, while 26 are under control. A number of communities remain affected by poor air quality as well. Fire officials say the wildfire near Fort Chip has now grown to 8,600 hectares in size.
This continues to be our top priority. We have firefighters, helicopters, and air tanker support on this fire, working hard to contain the south and east flanks. We're moving more resources to this wildfire in the days ahead. Today, more than 175 new firefighters are arriving from the Yukon, British Columbia, and the United States. They'll be sent out to wildfires we continue to fight across the province.
Officials say another 200 firefighters from South Africa are also arriving in Alberta to help battle the wildfires. You know, when a large wildfire broke out northwest of Halifax, volunteer firefighter Mark Zawitsky was among the first to respond. As he battled the blaze, his home and a neighboring subdivision was completely destroyed. He, his family, and hundreds of other residents now face the prospect of having to rebuild their lives.
Unfortunately, the fire was extremely fast moving. There was a lot of fuel in the woods from all the storms we've had ever since Juan, and then there was White Juan, every other hurricane that we've had since then. So there's a lot of dry fuel within the forest. The high heat, low humidity, high winds certainly didn't help. It was a very fast moving fire. It was jumping across streets and crowning across the tops of trees. You know, we've been to structure fires before, where it's one house on fire and it's a fairly easily contained area. I'm not exactly sure what happened. The wind obviously carried the heat and the fire in that direction. At one point, we were hoping that Flat Lake would act as a stop barrier, but it went around the lake and dead center down our street. I would say probably about 90% of the homes on our street are lost.
Around 9 schools in Ottawa have been seeing student absentee rates increase to between 40 and 60%. School officials say the main reason is because parents are telling them they don't want their kids participating in any Pride activities. June is Pride Month, and a number of schools have Pride events scheduled with Pride flags flying. Meanwhile, at a York Regional High School just north of Toronto yesterday, protesters gathered to denounce the York District Catholic School Board's decision not to fly the Pride flag. Trustees voted 6-4 against flying the rainbow flag. The board's chair said 2 archbishops had advised against it because it did not align with their Catholic values. Bill Blair is blaming Canadian Security Intelligence Service Director David Vigneault for the fact he didn't receive a 2021 memo warning about the alleged targeting of Tory MP Michael Chong and his family by a Chinese diplomat. Blair says the information was never shared with him or his staff.
There are literally thousands of these documents that are produced weekly, and there are some that obviously elevate to a threshold where it's information that CSIS would determine, or the Public Safety Deputy Minister would determine, needs to be shared with the Minister. And in that case, this did not happen. And so one of the things that I think is very appropriate and important is that Minister Mendicino has recently issued a ministerial directive to CSIS and to public safety that information, particularly as it pertains to any threat against a member of Parliament or their families, must be brought to the attention.
The federal government says it's designated the first Friday of June each year as National Day Against Gun Violence. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his government is committed to reducing gun crime across the nation.
We must continue to have these real, sometimes difficult, always important conversations about the work that we're doing to combat gun violence. And we recognize, first and foremost, that this is a complex challenge, because it's not just about guns. Underlying issues also include mental health, poverty, gender-based violence. Gun violence is something we must fight on many different fronts across the country. Today, we're here to give even more tools to Canadians to be able to raise awareness on the ravaging issue of gun violence. We're officially designated the first Friday of June of every year as the National Day Against Gun Violence. It'll be a day of remembrance and a time to recommit ourselves to building a Canada free of gun violence.
Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre held a media conference in Winnipeg earlier today. Poilievre says the federal government is broke and everything still feels broken. He says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is out of touch, the country's out of money, and crime is out of control.
Recently, he introduced a new inflationary budget with $60 billion more gas poured on the inflationary fire. His own minister admitted that deficit spending causes inflation. And then 2 weeks later, what did she do? Added $60 billion or $4,200 per family in additional inflationary spending. And since that budget, inflation is back on the rise after he and his government promised that inflation was only going to drop. And now he wants a 61 cent a litre carbon tax. He's imposed a tax of 14 cents on gas, which drives up the cost of heating and groceries as well. Now he wants to raise it from 14 cents to 61 cents a litre. What is that going to do to our grocery bills when you hit farmers with a 61 cent a litre tax on the diesel they use to produce our food, or the truckers that ship our food? Everything is going to become more expensive.
Well, it was a cloudy and slightly cooler day today in Lethbridge, and that trend may continue for part of the weekend. Jeanette Rocher is in now with an early peek at the forecast. Jeanette, the day for having the family over for a barbecue in the backyard may be Sunday instead of Saturday?
So we are looking at a 60% chance of showers on a Saturday, Hal. So I would definitely say, yeah, Sunday is the better of the 2 days, especially since Sunday's forecast is calling for 27 degrees and lots of sunshine. Much better for those outdoor activities than our rainy Saturday that we're seeing. However, keep in mind the high Saturday is still up 21 degrees, so not too shabby at all. And we are still looking at those double digits for our overnight lows. Also not very shabby whatsoever. This evening we're looking at an overnight low of 12 degrees. Could still see a 30% chance of rain as well. And Hal, I'll come back later in the show to let you know about how next week's forecast is shaping up.
Great. Thanks so much, Jeanette. Election night in Alberta was a long one, not only for the candidates, but also for many of us in the media. Although there were a lot of complaints about the delayed release of the election results, Elections Alberta says was actually much quicker than it was 4 years ago. Officials also said they did make a couple of changes to the way the Vote Anywhere advance ballots were counted.
So in 2019, the ballots from Vote Anywhere were transported to Elections Alberta headquarters and counted there by tabulator. And you may recall that resulted in an almost 3-day delay in the counting of those ballots. So what we changed this year was to have those ballots counted in the returning offices. And, you know, we were able to count all the ballots on election night, but it is more work for the returning offices. They're counting the special ballots, the mobile voting station ballots. They're receiving results from all the different voting places in their division, and they're trying to count the Vote Anywhere ballots and the tabulator ballots as well. And because it's the Vote Anywhere service, they're not just recording votes for their electoral division, they can be counting votes for all electoral divisions. So it is a time-consuming process inputting the Vote Anywhere ballots. And so that was a change to the process for this year.
And the UCP walked away with a slim majority of 49 seats. Members of the Lethbridge Police Service and Lethbridge Fire and EMS were on hand at Henderson Lake earlier today, looking for evidence relating to an assault outside of a Lethbridge business. Staff with the LPS explained what happened earlier today.
So we had reports of an assault between two people known to each other. The subject fled when police told him he was under arrest and subsequently came to Henderson and then jumped in the water. And it looked like he was dumping things in the water. So we have the fire department here to help us search.
Now, police say there's no risk to the public in the area. A pellet gun was actually recovered from the water. The investigation in relation to the assault is ongoing. The suspect remains in custody and charges are now pending. Lethbridge police are also investigating an overnight assault that left a man with life-threatening injuries. Just after midnight, police responded to a call of a man who was assaulted along the 200 block of 13th Street North. When they arrived, they found a 21-year-old man who had been stabbed. He was quickly transported by EMS to Chinook Regional Hospital and then later airlifted to a Calgary hospital where he remains in stable condition. Earlier this year, more than 500 Albertans took in a cooking class for a worthy cause. Umami Shop in Lethbridge hosted an event called Cook for the Stars, which was in support of Stars Air Ambulance. Stars spokesperson Martin Abel says the donation of more than $12,000 they received this week was quite generous and vital for his organization.
Stars is a not-for-profit charity, and we do not charge patients for services. So we have to generate all of our funding through fundraising and government support. So literally, this money will help keep Stars operating and help save lives around the province. So it will go into our operational funds and help fund a couple of missions.
We do not know when we would need a service like Stars. But personally, my sister, but it wasn't in Canada, it was in France, where she needed it, and it did save her for a period of time. And when we came back to Canada and we said, okay, this year, which project or which charity would we like to provide for this year, we decided that Stars Air would be the perfect opportunity, and also working with Val from Van Arbor Homes too. We have a great relationship, and this just all manifested and came together.
The annual Cook for the Stars event was done in conjunction with the Umami Shop, Subaru of Lethbridge, Casco Cattle, and Van Arbor Homes. Great cause. Green Acres Foundation is giving back to the community in a special way with their annual Beef on a Bun fundraiser. It's been about 7 years that the foundation has put on this initiative. This year, they're hoping to raise funds for the Sue Laboon Memorial Library at Westminster Elementary School. The group's CEOs say they're doing this fundraiser in honor of a former employee.
Sue Laboon used to work for us, and during her time with us, she used to always be so passionate about the importance of storytelling and how important reading is for youth. And she used to always think that if we can teach the youth to get immersed in a story, in a good book, that's going to help them for not only when they're little, but all the way through their life. So we just do it in her memory.
Over $5,000 was raised last year, with the group hoping to raise the same, if not even more, this time around. A new donation of $35,000 will help benefit the Helen Schuler Nature Centre in a big way here in Lethbridge. The funds are going to support the centre's Prairie Living Roof, which features a large amount of plants native to our region. BCN's Micah Quinn visited the rooftop to learn more about this important initiative.
The Lethbridge Garden Project Society was provided with a substantial donation from members of the community. And the $35,000 number that we came up with was the result of those fundraising efforts, as well as a scholarship with the University of Lethbridge to help students in their life sciences programs.
The Prairie Living Roof Project helps educate visitors on plants and grasses that are native to the Lethbridge River Valley.
It's great to have a space like this that's within Helen Schuler Centre itself, so that individuals don't necessarily need to go hiking through the coulees in order to get exposure to the types of plants that are showcased in the living roof, the pollinators who are presented here, and the staff who provide explanations and education related to those things.
Staff with the Nature Centre explained to us exactly what the $35,000 will be going towards.
The funding that we receive from the Garden Project Society is going to help us to maintain this space. Even though it is a wild, naturalized space, there certainly is dandelions that blow in, no different than any other garden. And we always want to make sure that it's ready to go for visitors and that it's looking its best. And so we've got some maintenance that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks with a local contracting company. And of course, there's all different types of things that we need to do to keep the space looking great, from restaining the deck to updating interpretive panels. The donation does a tremendous amount to supporting those efforts.
According to numbers from the center, there are close to 32 different species of wildflowers and grasses in the Prairie Living Roof project that call the Lethbridge River Valley home. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
Beautiful flowers. Spock Days begins next week in the town of Vulcan. The annual event, which takes place in the second weekend of June, is a chance for locals to take part in community events and to celebrate their love of the TV series Star Trek. An official with the town explains what residents can look forward to seeing this year.
Big event, of course, is the annual, we have a slow pitch ball tournament that'll be going on for all 3 days. The Saturday morning, we have the parade starting at 10 a.m. That goes through town. We've had a decent amount of entries come in, and we're still hoping. We've been getting a lot of last-minute ones still coming in, which is really good. There's also a pancake breakfast at the CRC in the morning that the Lions are putting on. We're running a family fun fair at the arena, which will be for kids. It'll be a lot of bouncy houses and different games, carnival games, things like that.
By the way, Spock Days runs from June 9th through the 11th. A marriage pastor and his wife, who's a former marriage counselor, wrote a book on how to improve your marriage. Brad and Marilyn Rhodes co-authored The Grace Marriage. Now, in an interview with BCN's Jeanette Rocher, Brad Rhodes explained the difference between a performance-based marriage versus a grace-based one.
Well, a performance-based marriage is really dependent on the performance of both parties. So if like, say I'm cold, say I'm stressed at work, having a hard day, and I come home and I'm distant and detached. In a performance-based marriage, Marilyn withdraws from me. She's not nice to me. She's like, if you're going to treat me that way, I'm just going to withdraw from you or give you a consequence. Like, how she treats me is dependent on how I'm doing day to day. And so it's based on performance. In a grace-based marriage, it's just, I love you. I love you when you do well. I love you when you don't do well. I love you when you're struggling. I love you when you're thriving.
Make sure you catch the full interview with the Rhodes as they discuss their book, The Grace Marriage, coming up in the second half of our program. Well, it's looking kind of like a mixed bag weather-wise this weekend. Rain on Saturday, but then clearing up nicely by Sunday. A full look at the weather picture is coming up. Well, it was cloudy and slightly cooler in much of southwestern Alberta again today. Jeanette Rocher is in now with all of the weather details. Jeanette, if families are planning a picnic in the coulees or maybe at Nicholas Sharon Park, the better day may be on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely, especially because we are seeing a 60% chance of showers on a Saturday in the forecast. High of 21 degrees. Could see a bit of shower activity this evening as well. Up to 27, though, on Sunday with plenty of sunshine. Great day to get outside for sure. 26 for a high on Monday. And then into Tuesday, looking at mainly cloudy skies. Back down to the teens there, about high teens. 19 degrees for a high, 24 for a high next Wednesday, as we're seeing shower activity again develop on Wednesday and Thursday. High of 23 degrees for next Thursday to round out that 7-day forecast. Okay, the average high for this time of year, 21. Average low, 7 degrees, 32. That was our high temperature. That happened on this day back in 1970 and in 1984. Look at that. It was 0. Okay, that was chilly for this time of year for sure. 5:28, that's when the sun rose this morning. Our sunset this evening at 9:31 p.m. We're now looking at just over 16 hours of a daylight, looking at 16:03, I believe, about 2 minutes longer than we had yesterday. Lots of sunshine on the west coast. Tomorrow, 21 for a high in Victoria. Very windy conditions, still in that Juan de Fuca Strait. That is a very windy place, looking at up to 70 winds there. 20 for a high in Vancouver. Plenty of sunshine, mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. In Edmonton with a high of 23, and Calgary's high 22, with also partly cloudy skies. Okay, we are looking at some heat events happening happening in the prairies. Saskatoon also looking at some showers with risk of thunderstorms. 23 for a high there, 28 for a high in Regina. Same thing, risk of thunderstorms tomorrow. 33 is the high in Winnipeg. Winnipeg under a heat warning over the next 3 days. We're looking at hot, humid conditions accumulating over southern Manitoba, and those humidexes should be up to around 38 for the next 3 days in Winnipeg. Toronto, 26 for a high, lots of sunshine, 23 for a high in Ottawa, and 22 in Montreal. Definitely coming down in temperatures compared to those heat events that those 3 locations have seen over the past day or so. They've definitely had some high heat. Okay, 12 for a high in both Fredericton and Halifax. Also some moist conditions, looking at up to 10 millimeters of rain in Fredericton. Halifax also seeing some rain activity, and that should certainly help with that wildfire smoke that is providing for some very poor air quality in that condition. That rain should definitely help. 7 degrees only for a high in Charlottetown, also looking at 2 to 4 millimeters of rain. And some rain expected also in St. John's, Newfoundland. So going to be a wet one on the Atlantic coast. High for a 7 there, high for 7 degrees in St. John's. There you go. That is your weather forecast.
Suncor is cutting 1,500 jobs by the end of the year. The company's CEO, Rich Kruger, says the layoffs are necessary to reduce costs and improve the company's lagging performance. Company officials previously announced that they were laying off 20% of their 16,558 employees. The company has been under pressure by shareholders to improve its share price performance. It has also been under fire for workplace safety incidents, including a string of deaths. Suncor has workers across Canada, the United States, and internationally, with its corporate head office based in Calgary. Insurance industry experts say an increase in extreme weather events like wildfires and flooding is driving up the cost of home insurance. Experts say larger losses are the biggest contributors to higher premiums, whether those losses are due to natural disasters, inflation, or other rising costs. The Insurance Bureau of Canada says severe weather caused $3.1 billion in insured damage last year. That is up from $2.1 billion in 2021. Analysts also say the recently announced National Flood Insurance Program can serve as a blueprint for more government involvement in insurance. Ford says owners of some Lincoln SUVs should park them outside. It says a short circuit can develop in the 12-volt battery monitor sensor, causing vehicles to catch fire when the engines are turned off. The company is recalling 140,000 Lincoln MKCs from the 2015 to 2019 model years. Ford says it has 19 reports of fires that may be related to the problem in the United States, Canada, and China, but the company says it is not aware of any injuries so far. Now, here's a look at today's markets. The TSX was up 352 points on the day to finish at 20,024. The Dow was up 701 points to 33,762. The S&P 500 was up 61 on the day to 4282, and the Nasdaq was up 139 points to 13,240. West Texas Intermediate Oil was up $1.83 to $71.93 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 2 cents to $2.18 US. Gold was down $29.66 on the day to $1947.96 US an ounce, and silver was down 24 cents to $23.62 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $11.05 per bushel, barley's at $8.82, canola's at $15, and corn is at $10.08 per bushel. Live cattle were up $1.53 to $176.43. Feeder cattle August contract was up 25 cents to $241.90, and lean hogs were up $3.18 to $86.73. The Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours to $74.44 US. Recapping one of our top stories, the community of Fort Chippewa, north of Fort McMurray, remains under an evacuation order due to a wildfire. The blaze there has grown to 8,600 hectares in size. Now, in total, there are 6 evacuation orders in place in Alberta. Just over 4,300 Albertans remain displaced because of the wildfires. There are currently 60 wildfires burning in Alberta, with 17 listed as out of control. 17 are also being held, while 26 are now under control. Coming up, we're chatting with a marriage pastor and his wife about a recent book they wrote, which offers practical and unique ways of improving your marriage. Catch the interview with Brad and Marilyn Rhodes, along with BCN's Jeanette Roche in just a moment. Listen, if you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. We'd love to hear from you.
Here's today's Bridge City News Community Calendar. Target Hunger is an annual food drive taking place Saturday, June 10th, and organizers are seeking volunteers to help drop off and collect the yellow bags throughout the city, along with sorting out food at the food banks on event day. The goal this year is to raise 50,000 pounds of food, and the more volunteers there are to help, the more food that can be gathered. To sign up, visit targethungerlethbridge.com or email targethunger.volunteer@gmail.com. The Family Center downtown Lethbridge is providing a weekly opportunity for dads, uncles, and grandfathers to play and connect with their children. Me and My Dad takes place on Saturdays from 10 to 11:30 a.m., featuring fun, brain-building activities for male caregivers to play along with their kids. This program is free and open to children under 12. For more information and to register, visit famcenter.ca. And that's today's Bridge City News Community Calendar.
I'm here at Lethbridge Boxing Club, standing next to a 5-time Canadian boxing champion and an Olympian from back in 1984. This is Rick Duff. You are the owner of the Lethbridge Boxing Club, and thanks so much for having us come down to your ring today.
Well, thanks for coming in to show off our club here.
Oh, definitely. Okay, because I definitely want you to show me some of your moves. But let's talk a little bit about the club first of all. It's the oldest club in Lethbridge, right?
Yes, and we're one of the oldest ones in probably Alberta too. We opened up in 1937. Opened up at near the airport there in one of the hangars, and then 1940 ended up moving to the Civic Center, where we stayed till 2010. And then of course, I made a couple moves into our final spot here, and enjoying our spot. You know, it's only ours, and we can come anytime we want to train.
Okay, so you've had it for 13 years, but who started it? And is this where you learned to train for all of those championships?
Out of this gym, the smaller gym at the Civic Center, I won all my Canadian championships, and I did go to the '84 Olympics out of the Civic Center. So it was a small little gym with, you know, maybe 2 heavy bags and in-floor posts with ropes around it, and maybe 1 or 2 mirrors and a couple speed balls, and that was about it.
So a lot of us hear the word boxing and it's a little bit intimidating. We think of, like, you know, the big tough guys and stuff, but you actually train a lot of women and even some kids. So maybe tell me a little bit about that. Why would somebody want to get their kids into boxing, or why would a woman want to do it?
Well, it is, you want to teach them about the gym, right? Gym environment, and they work on them, right? Mm-hmm. So we got kids from 4 to years old and up. We got a little sluggers type program, where little people come in, and we got a really good coach to assist me. Jay, he's doing really good with them, and you know, we do fun workout games and tactical boxing and technical, you know, kickboxing a little bit for the little guys. So it's a lot of fun. Then the older kids come in and do the actual technical boxing, you know, non-competitive and competitive boxing. So the competitive people actually get in the ring. Non-competitive very, very seldom get in the ring. It's a safe zone. Not everybody has to get in the ring to be in our gym. We're here for fitness and mental, physical rehabilitation, you know, because we've been going through a big hard stuff through COVID and what's going on in our world right now. It's doesn't sound good. So
no, absolutely. And like, what better way to get it out than physical fitness, right? And like you said, redirecting the energy.
Exactly. And of course, you know, we got rules that, you know, you're in the gym, you learn the sweet science of boxing, and you are responsible for that. And even the little guys, you know, 4 to 5 years old, they got to be responsible for it, and they can't go out and use it on others. They use it for self-defense and building confidence, and you know, belonging to, you know, a social group of other boxers and people that are similar ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what about girls and women?
Okay,
Yeah.
we do have a girls program. It's I call it Girls Power.
I like it.
And we're going to start it up again because we've had low activity lately. So we want to get that program back up and running. And it's a real safe zone for girls just to come in. It's like a drop-in fee to come in, and they get all the anger out of their bread basket, and they learn some skills and get, you know, they refunnel some of that energy. So.
Okay. What about somebody who thinks maybe it's a little too dangerous?
Well,
safety first, right?
Safety. We do everything within safety. Even the competitors. You know, there's rules on my board right there. That there's a notice that you know, they have to, you know, if they have headaches before or after, you know, or during, they got. It's a boxer's responsibility to let the coach know.
I have a question. So are they mostly just practicing on punching bags, or are they actually hitting each other? Or does that come later?
Oh, sparring? Yeah, we're hitting each other. Yeah. We try. Our policy is you know, we try to do 100% speed and maybe 20% power. So you know, so you lay the power off to get the technique and hitting done. So yeah, we do get a occasional nosebleed, or we don't really get a black eye or anything like that, but you know, it could happen, right?
Okay, so how do you teach somebody to hit but not injure?
Oh, well, they got to have some control. That comes with experience working outside the ring, working with coaches and coaches teaching them, you know, hand position and body position and footwork, and you know, hitting the bag, and they learn to. You learn with hitting. You learn to have a little bit of control with that.
Okay, well, it's probably a very good lesson on how to manage your emotions, right, and manage your anger.
Yes. Yes. Boxing, it takes a certain person to be a competitor, you know, because, you know, you got to learn to take a disappointment and be able to get back up and keep going, right? So.
Yeah, good life lessons, I guess.
So, well, it's just like, you know, out in the street, you lose your job and you're down in the dumps, you're on your butt, you know, you just need to be able to get back up and keep going, right? You know, and try and find a job, you know, it's kind of the same thing. I have a couple competitors that refuse to quit. They're tough. You know, I got a couple of them that have 8 losses in a row, but they're learning and they're having fun. They just have to get that one win.
Yeah. At what age do you have to stop competing?
Well,
or is it more about your body?
Well, we do have a non-competitive group that we're really busy with. We got lots of young ladies in it. We got lots of kids in it. We got lots of older people in it, and you know, they're here to build their fitness. So.
Sure. Professionally, like for you, you were competing. At what age does somebody have to stop doing that?
Well, you know, if I had it my way, I'd still be going, you know.
Right.
Sorry, I shouldn't be saying that in front of anyone. My wife doesn't need to hear that. But we have a master's group over 45 or 35 years old that get into the ring and participate, and it gets very, very competitive as well. So. I've seen some shows that they have in the States that some of them were 75 years old.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So
and
it's
they're
really
competing.
About the individual then.
Yeah.
And their fitness level.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And just get in, love to fight. Eh?
Right. Okay.
But have it controlled, right?
That's amazing. So have you ever had any real serious injuries?
I hurt my hand.
Okay.
I shattered my hand back in the Olympics. I hurt my hand really bad. So that kind of put a stop to my career quite a bit. So
maybe you want to show me a couple of moves, something that you would show maybe women or girls that are coming in just to kind of get their fitness level up and build their confidence a little, and also like how to throw a punch and without hurting somebody or without getting hurt, I guess.
I'm a southpaw, so I'm
So am
left-handed.
I.
I'm a southpaw, left-hander, so yeah, so.
Cool, we have that in common. Okay, let's do it. Here he comes. And,
oh, got your color.
He's got the pink gloves for me because I'm a girly girl. So.
Very first thing is we're going to give you a stance, so then when you get up, it won't be so intimidating when you get up to the boxer. Okay. So we're going to stand with our feet shoulder width apart. You're lefty. You're like me. We're going to step with our right foot first. Okay. All right. So we're gonna be in this position. Our left hand's going to be up on our chin. Right there, and then our right hand's going to be out in front. Okay. And you want to keep your hands in front of you, your hands, head behind your hands. So you're protected.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
So get this jab going, so you don't throw your jab like this to hurt your elbow. You keep your elbows down when you throw the jab, and you bring it over in this position.
Right.
So that's the rotation of that jab. Put your hip back again, there, right there. So that's going to come down here. We push off that back foot, and it's going to come push. And then the hip, turn the hip. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yes.
I'm hitting you. I'm hitting
you. Hit the coach's chin. Now let's do 2 jabs and 1 left hand. Jab,
jab,
left. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Jab, jab, left.
Okay.
Jab, jab, left. Jab, jab. Okay, now the big part is getting your feet underneath you so then you can hit the target, right? Okay. So you're going to take a little step with both feet. And then you're going to do a right jab, left hand, okay? Come towards me, just take a step, jab, left hand, step again, okay, now step back this time, with your back foot first, step back, same distance, and then do a right jab, left hand.
Okay, right jab.
Right jab, left hand. Step back with your back foot first, 1 more step.
Okay.
Yeah, back foot first. Front foot, follow, there. Right jab, left hand. You got to keep that one on your chin or you're getting punched. Again.
This is so complicated. There's so many things to think about.
Lots to think about. All right, so this is your dummy. You get to hit. Okay, you're going to name your dummy?
I'll name him, I don't know, Dumbo.
Dumbo, all right. So you're going to just have your knees bent, and you're going to step in a little bit, both feet, and then jab. Then step back, and then step back in, jab.
Okay. Right where you were, or does it matter?
You can do it right where I was. Here, let me turn this guy for you.
Or I can move.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All right, step in and jab.
Step in, jab.
Yeah, and then step back. Keep your hands up high, chin. The left hand's on your chin.
All right.
There you go.
So many things to think about.
Yeah. Okay, as you step, plant, then back.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Now let's see a big left hand only. Step in and left hand.
Okay.
Oh!
Right in his neck. Sorry, Dumbo. I'm sorry. He does not look happy.
That's it. Another big left hand. Oh yeah, don't throw it from underneath. Throw it over top, like from your chin over top. Yeah?
Okay.
If you throw it like that, then you'll get hit in the chin.
Okay.
That's it. Turn the hand over. That's it. Beautiful.
I can feel it.
Now, just one more little thing to help you to have balance is don't have your chin up here. Bring it down a little bit, and it'll help you with balance, right? Because you want balance is very, very important when you hit.
Yeah, I would say so. They can knock you on your butt otherwise, right?
Yeah. All right, give it a try. Keep your chin down. Right there. Look through your eyebrows a little bit. There you go. Yeah, she's smiling. There's no fighter.
So many things
I want to
think
see your
about.
fighter face. Come on. There you go. That's it. Now 2 jabs to the left.
I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Make sure your hand's above.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, your left hand is over top. You're going underneath. You want to go over top.
Right. Okay. There we go. So you'd mentioned before that you had been injured. A lot of boxers obviously get injured. It's a very physical, dangerous sport. So if somebody wants to get back into the ring, or not even, just kind of rehabilitate themselves, almost like a physiotherapy, can you adapt their program around?
You know what? I've made that commitment to help, people that have injuries. I do have people that come in that they anxiety to depression to injuries, and it is so good for people. Parkinson's, I've done a couple of Parkinson's people.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to get my complete course and bring Parkinson's back into the gym.
I don't know, Rick. So do you think I'm ready to get in the ring now and start competing?
I think that you'll stand a good chance of surviving in the ring. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but thank you so much for showing me these moves. It was a lot of fun, and I think everyone needs to come and check it out. Check out something that you're not used to. Definitely, I wasn't used to this. Get out of your comfort zone. Okay, so we are at Lethbridge Boxing Club. This is Rick Duff, 5-time champion and former Olympian. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm Jeanette Roche. On behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News, thanks so much for watching.